Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live reaction from UGA Sports to the news of Carson Beck and the announcement that was just put out by the University of Georgia. The university put out a note saying that Carson Beck suffered an elbow injury in the win against Texas, and that he and his family were exploring options as to how to go forward, and there is no timetable for his return. So that kind of confirms what Ash and I have been reporting since Saturday night. I think we put it out like 7:22 saying, hey, it's a UCL injury. It's his elbow. And then we heard, well, maybe it's a shoulder and an elbow combination. Then we heard, well, it's a million different things. What we've never known in this whole thing, Dash, is the severity of it. That it was a UCL issue. Georgia did not confirm UCL. Kirby confirmed an elbow injury yesterday, but he didn't say exactly what it is. We've never been able to get anything about the severity of it. So,
and I think that's largely due to HIPAA. I mean, where they can't come out and say specifically what the injury is. I mean, that's just
get permission. You can
that. Yeah, you get permission to, but again, that's for something that I'm sure Carson Beck does not want out there publicly for NFL teams to hear. So, I mean, that's just my thought off the top of my head on why we have not heard specifically, what that injury is.
Best part of it is combat engineer. What does this mean?
Well, it means that Gunnar Stockton is going to take over as Georgia's quarterback from now on, and then it's going to be up to Mike Bobo and the offensive coordinators to best build Georgia's offense around Gunnar's strengths and what he can do best.
Any chance Carson makes it back before the end of the season?
I mean, you never say never. I mean, depending on how long Georgia goes, but when I hear there's no timetable for his return, that does not indicate to me that it's going to be a short, 1 or 2 week deal. I mean, I would just assume from here on out that Gunner's going to be the guy.
I'm with you there. Remember, this is a guy in Kirby Smart who, when he had big players with Liz Frank injuries in their foot, they had busted. They're in a boot, they're in an knee brace, and he's like, he could have gone in an emergency, or we're hoping to get him back this week.
And it's like a running joke now.
You've been saying you're hoping to get him back for 4 to 6 weeks,
Yeah, nah.
So if they could get away with, we hope to have Carson back by the Sugar Bowl, I think that's what would have been in it. And go ahead and give them the folks what Kirby Smart said about the because it wasn't just on him. We've got an update on punter Brett Thorson too. So why don't you give us the Brett Thorson update and then what Kirby said about both of them?
Yeah, well, as far as Brett goes, it's kind of what we feared on that as well. I guess the good news is wasn't to his non-kicking leg. Bad news is it was an injury, but again, they did not say specifically what it is, but it's something that's going to keep him out for the rest of the year. So now George is looking to have whoever's going to be their punter is going to be somebody with absolutely zero game experience come the Sugar Bowl. So that will be something to watch. And as far as what Kirby, let me call it up here just real quick so I can read it word for word on what Kirby said. It's like, Carson and Brett are both fierce competitors and extremely hard workers. I'm confident they will attack their rehab with the same determination they exhibit in their daily habits. We will be here to support them every step of the way. So once again, that indicates to me that, this is unfortunately a deal that's going to cost them the rest of their Bulldog careers.
Yeah. I guess
Thorson can still come back. Maybe I should have jumped the gun on that a little bit, but I think most folks expected this would be his last season, but now I don't know. Maybe he has second thoughts now with this injury taking place. We'll see.
Well, another question people have is, can Carson come back another year? He can.
He can. I ain't expecting it. No, I'm not either. I would put that like in the 5% range of him coming back. Hopefully for him it wasn't a tear. If it's a sprain, that's something he can rehab and come back from it. And who knows, maybe be ready for the combine. But if it's a tear, then it's similar to what baseball pitchers go through with Tommy John surgery. He would have to, I would assume, again, he would have to miss the next year, maybe year and a half to completely, recover from something like this. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Hopefully, it's a sprain, and you don't have to go to Birmingham and see Dr. Andrews to get it repaired. But again, that's something we'll just have to wait and see after the second opinion comes through. That the release from Georgia did say that at Carson, parents are looking into kind of else, get a second opinion on that, see what else may be available to them.
Yeah, I'm getting text right now. Would shock me if Beck goes to see the James Andrews people.
Hey, yes.
That's from a source.
I know.
Of mine who, a person who has helped me break so many things.
Yes.
And when he says, "Hey, it wouldn't surprise me," it's like,
yes,
probably report.
Yes, I could probably go into Birmingham and go to the clinic right now, and maybe see him tomorrow. Well, we're not. It wouldn't be a shocker.
We did report that the family was looking at getting a second opinion. You don't get a second opinion if they tell you what you want to hear the first time.
Exactly.
So people that are asking, are you just speculating? No, I mean, we've been told for 2 days that he's done for the year. Mm-hmm. We've never been able to confirm that beyond a shadow of a doubt. To this point, we're still not saying beyond a shadow of a doubt that he won't come back. UJ's not saying it, but every indicator that we have, every source we've spoken to says he's done.
Yeah.
And it's not just you. Yes, you want him back for the playoff run, but he's also looking at his NFL future. If you come back too quickly, or you come back and you strain it and make it worse, like you said, you take a strain and make it into a tear, that's worse. So, and Kirby's not going to take any chances. He wants his quarterback drafted high. You saw how he spoke about Gunnar Stockton at the end of the game.
Oh yeah,
he started choking up. He loves these kids, and he has been through the works with Carson Beck. Carson Beck got here as not a very good quarterback. We were expecting him to transfer at the end of year 2.
Yeah.
And he was given the chance to win the starting job when JT Daniels went down. He was put in the firing line, and he fell apart. And he'll tell you that. He's like, it didn't work out. Stetson Bennett got the job, went for 2 years. Carson sat behind it, learning, getting better. And then Carson came on like a rocket ship. He got way better. And people inside the program are like, you would not believe how much better he is than he was 2 years ago or 1 year ago. And you saw that last year when he set the single season completion record at Georgia. His first year starting. This year, you've gone as Carson has gone. When he's on, Georgia wins games. When he's off, they don't. If you could get him to come back, great. But this is a guy who Kirby Smart loves this kid, raves about him, and he's not going to let him do anything stupid. Kirby's like, look, I can win this without you. I've got other quarterbacks. That's the point. I'm not going to let you throw away your future so that we can win the Sugar Bowl or, go win in Miami. I mean, a national title is not worth your future, son, and he's going to try to win it with what he's got. Yeah,
as bad as Kirby wants to win the Sugar Bowl and to win the national championship, I mean, he's not going to put anything above the future of his players. I mean, he treats his players like his own sons. Yeah. He's not going to – anything that's going to be to the detriment of them, moving forward and having the best, hopefully NFL career that they possibly can.
I'm with you 100% there. But to kind of put a cherry on that, when they put out a statement like that, you got to remember they don't have to talk to us for some time.
Right.
We had our press. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, I had a Zoom yesterday afternoon.
So yesterday afternoon, they're going to let the players rest for a time. Then they're going to go back to practice. But Kirby really doesn't have to talk to us again until what?
He might not talk to us again until we get to New Orleans for the bowl game. I mean, it will not totally stun me. I think he probably will at least maybe once, but it will not stun me if we don't see Coach Smart again until we get to New Orleans.
So folks who don't follow it, usually we get Kirby on a Monday before the upcoming game. Then we get him Tuesday after practice. Then he does a Wednesday teleconference with all the SEC coaches. So it's just kind of how it goes. Because there's no game upcoming, we don't have to. He doesn't have to speak with us. So for them to put out a press release is my point here. To say, hey, because we know everybody wants what's going on. And he told us yesterday it was an MRI, and we were waiting the results. He had the results.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just did not want to make that the story over the team, getting a bye, et cetera.
Yeah. But they for them to put out a press release when they don't have to, he could have kept us in the dark he would not have lost an ounce of sleep on it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it out there. Probably just to keep people from stop pestering Carson Beck and his parents relentlessly and his coaches. Mm-hmm. I know people still bug his high school coaches. And
oh yeah.
I'm not saying that I would have texted him 47 times to find out the latest, but I would have texted him 46 times to find out. Come on, mm-hmm. Carson, tell me what's going on. And I don't want to bug him, but we have millions of people that want to know what his status is. So I think it's good that UJ put out the statement. They did not say what it was, that it was a UCL, but we know that's mm-hmm. what it is. And they just left it kind of open-ended, saying, there is no timeline for his return. Again, if there's any possibility that they were expecting him to come back, they just said, we hope to have him back soon. And when Kirby says we'll help them in their recovery as much as possible, that's hey, good luck, son. And it's true. As you've seen this when you've walked over into the Butts-Mehre building, there are a lot of former Georgia players, NFL and non-NFL, that come back to UGA for treatment.
Oh, sure, all the time. Come to work out. Come to the weight room. They don't. A ton of these guys or come back for whatever reason, during the season and off season.
Yeah. Foster Moss, huge Carson guy, says, hope he's okay. Captain Ron says he had that surgery himself. So, mm-hmm. So Captain, if you could put in the comment section exactly how it goes down, what we need to look for, and how many get well cards we need, we could do that. Brian Litchford, is Carson out? Not sure yet. Yes. Carson, the latest for people that are just tuning in, and I see we got a lot of new people on here. The latest from the University of Georgia is that Carson Beck and his family are exploring treatment options. There is no timeline for his return, which we're basically saying that's code for Carson is not going to play this year, and they're going to go forth with Gunnar Stockton. Speaking of, we've got a lot of Gunnar Stockton fans in here, people who watched him in high school, watched him play. Dash, you've known Gunnar for 100 years. Known everybody in his family. Can Georgia win a title with Gunnar Stockton?
I think they can, as long as the defense plays like it did against Texas. And yeah, I think Georgia can win a national championship with Gunnar. Again, what's so great about having this bye for Georgia is Mike Bobo and the offense, and the offensive coaches are going to have 3.5 weeks now to really, retweak the offense a little bit, to help Gunnar and play it to his strengths. He's not going to try to do the same thing that Carson Beck, did. They're different type quarterbacks. But there's some things that they can do with Gunnar they could not do with Carson. So I think they'll try to, help him with that and kind of put those things to Georgia's advantage, moving forward. But just real quick, seeing Gunnar for me is a little bit, it's cool in a lot of respects. His dad, Rob Stockton, I covered back when I was back in the day when he played for Georgia Southern, was a hard-hitting safety for the Eagles. And when Gunnar took that hit at the goal line, the helmet went flying off. I said, man, I'm sure that Rob probably winced a little bit, but very quietly though he was saying, "Yeah, that's my boy, that kind of thing." It kind of tells about the toughness of Gunnar and kind of what he's all about. So excited for him and looking forward to seeing how the Bulldogs can continue to rally around him and see if they can make this title run.
A lot of folks don't realize this, and they'll say, well, he's a 5-star quarterback. He's a 4-star quarterback, but a 5-star quarterback is someone we expect to go be a first-round draft pick. Mm-hmm. 4-star is still a guy who could be all SEC. Mm-hmm. This could be Gunnar Stockton's team next year. Maybe he might play himself into the first round. But where he stands right now, or what the most important thing is when he came out of high school, he was the number 2 dual-threat quarterback in the nation. This kid ran for touchdowns. He threw for touchdowns. I would go up to Rabin to see him play, and every time I went up there, he would score 6, 7, or 8 touchdowns, either running or throwing. Once, hey, he had an out-of-body experience. Twice, okay, they don't play anybody. 3 times, holy hell, this kid can ball. And that's every time we saw him, that's what Gunnar Stockton was doing. Now, what is Georgia's Achilles heel this year, Dash?
Well, their Achilles heel was on the offensive side?
No, on the defensive side.
On the defensive side, it's been tackling all year long. playing running quarterbacks.
And running quarterbacks.
And I think that's what we saw from Texas early on. Texas was not prepared to face a backup quarterback for Georgia, much less one who can run. Yeah. So now that's how even Notre Dame, Marine Indiana, are going to have to kind of retweak their defensive strategy to try to try to stop Gunner and what the Georgia will try to do. And the thing is, they're not really going to know what Georgia's going to do because Georgia has not, except for the second half of this ball game in the SEC championship, it's the only time they've used Gunner really throughout the year. They've used him with the their number one game plan for example. So I know that's going to be something that these defenses coming up are really going to have to kind of concern themselves with.
Yeah, and also Jason Andrews talks about that hit that was on Gunner Stockton.
I can't believe he didn't fumble. I agree, man. That was one of the most ghoulish hits I've seen in a long time. How in the hell he hung on to the ball, I don't know. I mean, you saw the look on his face, look in his eyes when he was
unconscious.
Up. I mean, oh man, he's dead. Yeah. I mean, the guy's dead. I mean,
his eyes crossed. It was. But here's the thing: if he fumbles there, remember this is Georgia's second possession and overtime.
Game's over. So he saved Georgia the game. I mean, Gunner Stockton is a quarterback with a linebacker's mentality. Yeah. I mean, I've always believed that anyway. I really believe that after what we saw in that game Saturday afternoon.
Ask Malachi Starks about him.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Malachi, he knows that firsthand. I mean, what it's all about in the way Gunner, carries himself, how way he plays, the way he thinks, the way he tries to behave on the field.
Yeah, Malachi said he made him want to quit football. He hit him so hard. So talk about a linebacker. He is that run he had. He basically gets knocked out, lands on his back. His knee pops backwards. You almost thought he would ripped out all the tendons.
I hope we get to talk about that.
And that's huge. So I'm just kind of saying what he gives Georgia is the run threat.
Mm-hmm.
He can throw, big arm, tough as nails. Kind of reminds me of who is that? Connor Shaw, South Carolina, just tough. So you get a guy like that, or heck, the quarterback at Georgia Tech that took just an absolute pounding for.
Well, he reminds me of the quarterback from TCU that Georgia played in the championship a little bit too. I can't remember the guy's name. And I know Georgia obviously dominated him in that ball game, but I think it's the same type of quarterback. And up to that championship game, I mean, that guy, he did play pretty well, for the Horned Frogs leading up to that. So again, there's a lot of comparisons out there.
So we that's what he brings to Georgia. But what are his liabilities?
There's one. Well, I've had people, tell me they think he's got a slow windup with his delivery. Mm-hmm. And that, Max, thanks for the reminder of Max Duggan. I think I'm getting old and I have brain cramps all the time. That was one. So I appreciate that. But I think a delivery, that's something I have had people express to me that they were maybe concerned about, a little bit. It takes them a long time to wind up and deliver the ball. So I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously no coach or anything like that, but that's something that people have expressed concerns, to me about.
I'm with you. The other thing is lack of experience. I mean, he made a bone-headed throw in the SEC championship.
He did. I mean, that's obviously one that should just thrown it away. But I mean, that's a hindsight type deal. But that's something you're only going to learn that by playing. And Georgia doesn't have much choice right now, but to put him out there and just coach him up and have him do the best he can. Well,
that's exactly. I mean, Kirby Smart said the same thing about Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett. And when they throw an interception like that, he's like, "Hey," and he used the term "boneheaded." Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they would have liked that one back. But you're right. You got to get picked off, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, I won't throw against that one again. I'll throw it out of bounds or something like that. And you just live to fight another day. And of course, he was going up against a pretty good defense. That secondary was the number one passing defense in the nation.
Yeah, but don't forget about this too. He sees this Georgia defense every single day in practice. That's what he practices against.
Great point.
Man, that is as good as he's going to see from here on out, in the playoffs. So I don't think from that standpoint, he's not going to be intimidated. Again, that's not Gunner's mentality anyway. Yeah. I think the fact that he has played against this defense now for 3 seasons, he knows what great athletes look like. He knows he doesn't have the speed of the game is going to go. So from that standpoint, I think he's going to be, just fine. I mean, this, I'm not saying that there's not going to be some nervous moments, but I think he's going to be a lot better prepared to handle this. Maybe some other quarterbacks or other teams would be.
Yeah. I like Bo Evans said Gunner would start anywhere else. Glad he stuck around. Well, I mean, he's
have a chance to show it.
Exactly. And remember, he has a very good double mentor system. He watched Stetson Bennett come to Georgia, transfer away, come back, get looked over, fight, get his spot, win 2 titles. And that entire time, Carson Beck could have easily transferred.
Yeah.
Carson stuck around, got his chance. Now Gunnar Stockton says, well, look, the 2 guys I learned the most from, they waited their time, they were patient. It doesn't take a lot of games for me to make my mark with the NFL. Just give me a chance. So now he's got his chance. Perfect timing. You got what is today? Today's the 9th. You play on the 1st. So you got, I'm no genius, but 22 days to get ready between now and then. Give me Kirby Smart and anybody with 2 weeks of preparation. And I like what they're going to do with the quarterback. And now the next question pops up is, okay, you're getting Gunnar Stockton ready to go. You still have a 1%, 2% chance that some miracle happens and you get Carson Beck back. But again, we're reporting that he's done for the year, maybe done for his entire Georgia career. And how fitting that he came in and handed the ball off. If that's his last play at Georgia, he hands the ball off with one arm to win the SEC title. It's just, you write movies that way. But they got to get Carson Beck ready. Gunnar Stockton ready. They also got to get a backup quarterback because your running quarterback is prone to getting himself obliterated by safeties and such. So, worst case scenario, what happens if Gunnar Stockton goes down? And I'm going to tell you right now, based on familiarity with the system, and practices, where they practice, your next guy up will be Ryan Puglisi.
Yep, exactly. And Ryan, from everything we've been told, has picked up the offense pretty well. He's another big physical quarterback. He can run as well. And I think God forbid something happened to Gunnar, they could put him in and run the exact same thing they're going to run with Gunnar. Yeah. I think in this contest. So but again, that's the only thing that's a little bit different about that is, you'd still be talking about a true freshman, somebody again who he has gone through a season with him now, working against the defense and all that. But again, everything that Coach Smart has said about Ryan, and he's he's done everything he's been asked to do, has worked, has looked well when he's had the opportunity, and he's talked about him and Jaden Rashad as well. Said every Monday, because were not able to get the backup quarterbacks in any games this year, they would dedicate part of practice on Monday to get these guys reps to get them ready. So they'll, like I said, hopefully he doesn't have to come in the game, but if he does, Coach Smart apparently is confident enough in him to do the job.
Now, Brian brings up a good question: why not Rashada?
Well, because he got here, I think, April 25th. He has not had he only had like a half a year in the system right now. And, and I know Coach Smart said they prepared them in practice, but we're mostly just talking about scout team work. And just from a knowledge standpoint, knowing the plays, Ryan has just a lot more experience. And that's not a knock against Jaden. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. He did some good things last year for Arizona State. I just don't think he's at the stage knowledge-wise. Now, again, not a knock against him, just hasn't been here that long.
He's got a lot more experience.
A lot more experience from playing standpoint, no doubt about it. There's no question about that. But just the knowledge of the offense, I'm not sure how much he would be able to, of the playbook they would be able to use with him as compared to Ryan.
Yeah, and when I asked around, I was told knowledge of the system.
There you go.
Okay, think about it. You do not want to spend the next 22 days trying to put in a new offense or getting away from what you did. Hell, you can barely operate what you put in now. Mm-hmm. This is not an offensive juggernaut. Mm-hmm. You scored 3 points in the first half. You've trailed at the half or been tied at like 6 times this year. Mm-hmm. This is not you don't have time to tinker with this. You need to run your best plays, adjust your quarterback to it. And if your quarterback goes down, bring in the next guy who understands what the calls are, what the protections are, what the checks are, what the reads are. It is complicated as hell to play quarterback in a micro system or any college system.
Any college system.
And you're not going to just go read option and run simple because, defensive coordinators on the other side, they'll shut that down. So you have to be complex. So I do like the fact, though, that both those guys, well, all of them actually, give you that kind of run threat. And Carson looked completely different Dash, you remember there was a while there he had 12 interceptions to 10 picks. But once he started running, I think it was maybe that Tennessee game,
Mm-hmm.
he stopped throwing interceptions. He stopped pressing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically gave himself another option. And, I mean, Gunnar Stockton, you're in overtime. He takes off, sees too high, empty space, runs up there, almost puts it in himself, gets knocked out, hangs on the ball. But Georgia had a very short punch in thanks to Gunnar Stockton's run. And then you can bring in Chaz Chambliss, you bring in, your wham package, and you knock them up backwards and you put it in the end zone. I love the fact that I don't say Georgia's a running team now with a running quarterback, but I love that option in college football, man.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, especially when you're on the goal line. I mean, it's almost a necessity really anymore because otherwise you're just going to get teams just crowding the line of a scrimmage. And, but yeah, if you get a running quarterback, there's so many things you can do with a rollout. I mean, RPO. I mean, I think it just sets up a lot better.
Oh, yeah, there are a couple of times we took Coach Don into the SEC championship, and when he sees the quarterback should keep it, he's like, if he'd have just kept it this time, he'd still be running to Norcross.
Coach Don, I love him.
It's crazy to watch Coach call the plays before they happen.
He's amazing.
It's a lot of fun. Shout out to Kenneth Raff here with the super chat. He says, Gunnar Stockton has a fast bullet if they work on his release. I see us thriving with him as our running back has gotten us close to first down, so we need to run more. Did Georgia get stuffed on a third down or fourth down, third and one, quarterback draw?
That's happened several times this year where they've been stopped on third and fourth. And
his last game, yeah, they went for it on third down. I thought they had it on second.
Yeah, you're right.
Third and one, they had to punt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Carson could do it, was not good at it, but I'm telling you, firsthand experience watching Gunnar Stockton, if there's anybody that's going to get a second push, or just worm his way through there, who's not afraid of contact in the slightest.
I just hope he doesn't lower his head too many times. I mean, he can definitely do it, but just please be a little bit careful there, Gunnar. I want you to come out of all your marbles at the end of this thing. Just don't hurt ourselves too bad.
And I really wish people could see Ryan Puglisi. And this is not a shot against Jaden Rashada. I mean, Jaden's a little bit smaller than I expected.
He's a little small, but Jaden's going to be fine too. I mean, I saw a question earlier that Jaden might is going to go to the portal, and I don't think so that at all. I mean, he's coaches think a ton of him, and they love his talent, his skill set. So yeah, he'll be in the mix for the starting job, I think, next year.
Absolutely. I mean, again, the guy, I think he started 4 games before he got hurt
at
ASU.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's got the experience. He's been in those games. Georgia can rely on him if they need to. Again, another reason why you don't need to force Carson Beck to come back.
Yeah.
You do at least have one guy that has starting experience that you could go to. But if you guys see Ryan Puglisi, the dude looks like an NFL quarterback now.
Yeah, he does.
I know that means zilch in how he's going to perform, but that was Georgia's number one guy. Now everyone remembers they had Dylan Raiola committed to for a long time, and we even had Puglisi on our show, and we're like, Georgia's got the number one quarterback in the nation committed. Why are you coming here? And he says, well, I want to compete, and it'll be the same if I go to an NFL team. I got to beat out every quarterback there if I want to be the starter. There's 32 NFL starters. If I want to be one, I got to beat out everybody. So it doesn't matter if I'm trying to beat them out at Georgia or beat them out at Penn State or Texas, wherever.
Yeah.
The kid wants to compete, but when you look at him, you're like, damn, that is a prototype.
He looks the part, and he's got the exact same mindset as Gunnar does. I mean, he is not scared a bit of competition, just like you just mentioned. That there wasn't a single time in all the Dylan Raiola, soap opera that he was, man, don't worry about me. I'm going here to compete. I'm going to try to win the job. I don't care who's the quarterback here. And that's what you want. You want all your players to think like that. So, I'm excited to see what Ryan, Puglisi does, moving forward this upcoming spring practice. And again, if he is called upon, if he has to play in this ball game, again, I will have my concerns as a true freshman, but from a physical standpoint and of him knowing what to do, I think it would be okay.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, I have lamented how Georgia's running game has just been missing. It's been missing. But now with a healthy ETN, 94 yards versus Texas. Dude had 5 touchdowns in 2 games versus Texas.
Crazy.
They are praying that kid goes to the NFL. we would not want to see you again. But Nate Frazier's really come on. I mean,
Yep.
he's looking good.
Yeah, I think this really helps Nate too. I mean, Nate has done a great job stepping in for Trevor, but I think it allows him to maybe relax just a little bit, maybe not have to worry about trying to do too much. And plus, you get Nate Frazier in the fourth quarter with fresh legs that we saw the other day. That's a good thing. So
Yeah, but they'll
right
never
now,
wait that long because the
yeah,
minute ETN has a big run, they pull
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Drives me batty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, look, he had a big play. Let's yank him out. Like, no, please stop doing that. But I get it. You know, you kind of want to keep pounding with, like I said, the fresh legs, and you give him a breather. And they're also, Roderick Robinson's coming, getting closer to being back, healthier and fuller. So 3 weeks, what we said, 22 days, 3 weeks off before you have to play again. Should have a lot of guys healthy. Maybe Christian Miller on the defensive line. And also, you're going to need those 3 weeks. Teach your punter what to do.
Exactly. I mean, that's something that I think needs to be talked about just as much as as Gunner right now, because again, that's going to be an incredibly important deal. I mean, if you're backed up, you're kicking out of your end zone, you're going to need to have confidence in the guy that's back there and hope that he gets off a good kick, and we'll see what happens there. But Noah Jones and Drew Miller, who I think most folks know was one of the most highly recruited punters in the country last year. If I had to guess right now, it would probably be Drew. And remember too, because
you have to guess because Kirby couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, exactly. And but I think obviously he knows who he is. He will know who he is moving forward. But things folks need to remember about Drew as well, with the recent NCAA rules where you can play now in these postseason games without having count against your redshirt year. That's another
good point
and bonus for him, playing. So, but I think it's probably going to be Drew. I mean, if I had to put money on it right now, and for all we've heard in practice, he booms the ball. So it's just a matter of him getting out there, getting confidence in what he's doing, and go out and execute.
People, we kind of take for granted how good Brett Thorson is as a punter. And it's easy to do so when you just don't punt that often. And it's been like a running joke that he doesn't punt a whole lot. But when you needed him, I mean, they went an entire year without any punt return yards.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
In 32 years, 31 years covering football. I've never seen a team that had 0 return yards. Blew my mind because he just hangs them up so high that they have to basically fair catch him, or George's able to down.
We had a huge one against Texas. I mean, that 60-yarder we had, that flipped the field.
Right. So he is a weapon, and you got a guy on scholarship. Kirby doesn't give out a lot of scholarships to punters, but he did one in Drew Miller's case. So
that should tell you all you need to know right there. Seriously.
Yeah. And it may be one of the situations where he's on scholarship, but all the scholarship is paid by NIL efforts, but still they went after him and they're like, look, we're going to pay for it. You're not going to have to walk on. This isn't you try out, and if you're good enough, we can gray shirt you, and maybe a year or two later give you a scholarship. They're paying for him to be here, and that's a big deal. So you need somebody who can flip the field. You're not sure if you're going to face that Indiana team. You're not sure if you're going to face that Notre Dame team. If you win that one, you got to go to Miami and win down there, and then you could be facing Oregon or Texas again in the national championship. So, or Ohio State. There's a tough 3 games to win, and you're going to need to rely on your punter and your quarterback. So, and some wide receivers. You also got 3 weeks to stop the drops, Dash.
Yep. Got to do that. And thing also too, I might as well bring this up too. I mean, Kobe Young has his hearing tomorrow at Clark County Courthouse, and from all expectations, he's going to be cleared.
He's not.
He's not.
He's not.
You don't think so? He's not. Okay.
I don't think so. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it's not. I'm not expecting it to be as cut and dry as everybody says.
Okay.
Or as much as everyone expects.
Okay.
So we'll have what we're hearing on UJ Sports here in a little bit, but this from it's BLST. It's Blast. Thank you for the super chat. It's Blast. It says, any possibility of Colby Young coming back next year? Definitely a possibility. Will he? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing on that too. He has played in 5 games this year, so he would have to get a waiver of some sort to come back, because he did not. He started playing college ball after 2020, so he would not be eligible for a COVID year. So something different would have to happen for him to come back.
Yeah, and again, you could definitely use him. Uh, there've been numerous times where I guess you kind of forced Dylan Bell into the role that Colby Young would play,
Mm-hmm.
just into that same position. And I don't know if Dylan's kind of playing out of position, but I just
Dylan is playing every position at wide receiver for
yeah,
Georgia
exactly.
right
So
now. And, I mean, I mean, he's a guy who's got to be in there, and you know, one hand that's great. He can do all these different things, but same time, I mean, if he could like just you know with good depth would be able to like focus on one spot, I think he would be even better than what he is right now.
yeah, I mean, you're having to run the whole damn route tree. It's a lot.
Yeah,
Plus all the blocking,
a lot
and
of limbs to climb, man.
that's a lot of work. So I'm a little. You need offensive weapons, and you just lost your best one in Carson Beck. You know, a lot of people say, well, Trevor Etienne, Nate Frazier, offensive lineman. The guy that got you there, the guy that gets you there, the guy that brought you back from a 28-0 deficit when the defense couldn't get a stop against Alabama was Carson Beck. Now, he's also had multiple games with multiple picks, but as of late, he's been pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's back to the guy that he has been, but you know, last year and to start the season. But now with him having no timeline on his return for the folks who are just tuning in, you know, again, the news on Carson Beck is he's got an elbow injury. That's what UGA said. We have reported that it's a UCL injury. Now everybody, 3 days later, saying, "Hey, it's UCL." We're like, "Yeah, we told you that on Saturday night." But UGA won't confirm that. I think Dash is spot on there, saying it's probably a HIPAA violation, or the family hasn't allowed that to be reported. They just
wanted to.
Yeah, and they just came out and said, "Look, it's an elbow injury. We are exploring our treatment options, but the university has said there is no timeline for his return." So we've been hearing for the last 48 hours that Carson Beck was done for the year. This news from UGA only seems to confirm that. It's still not 100%, but it's kind of like remember, Dash, we broke the news that Kirby Smart was 95% of the way to being Georgia's coach.
Yeah.
And then everybody ran with Kirby Smart's been hired. We're like, no, it's not. Still a few things to sign. Give it a second. So, but it's that same situation where there's a 3% chance that some miracle pops up, but we're not holding our breath that he comes back. But you lost a huge weapon, an experienced weapon, a guy that you'd feel great going against Indiana or Notre Dame with Carson Beck. But now you're going with Gunnar Stockton. When's the last time a Georgia quarterback got hurt and the replacement's first full game as a starter was against Notre Dame?
Seems like that might have been Mr. Jake Fromm.
Dude, it's crazy, the similarity.
Yeah. Yeah, from that standpoint, yeah, I mean that would be pretty hilarious actually that would happen. And the very first opponent that quarterback would start against would be the Fighting Irish, a team that Georgia only played twice previously in its history.
Yeah, now granted, there's this situation where
two times. I'm right. Yeah,
Indiana could win, but it would just be epic for a kid who grows up a Georgia fan who gets in comes in to help them, saves their bacon, wins them an SEC title in his first the first time that he's the lead quarterback, because he actually played more snaps than Carson did. So
great story. I mean, if it works out for Georgia, what a great story it would be. I mean, I wouldn't
Notre Dame Sugar Bowl,
maybe not. Just Gunnar leading the team. Say he does. Again, I don't think positive here. Say Gunnar leads Georgia to a national championship as their backup quarterback. I mean, I don't know if it'd be quite on the level of what Stetson Bennett did for 2 straight years, but man, that would be a damn good tale to write about and talk about if that were to happen.
Well, that's why we're in this business. We love good stories like that.
Love good story. This is one. I mean, if it works out, it's great.
I'll tell you, the guy that'd probably be happiest in the whole damn building will be Carson Beck. I mean, he'll be hurt, but he's that's one of his guys. You saw him talking to Gunnar on the sideline and
coaching him up, man. Yeah, being a friend, coaching him up.
Or I take that back. The happiest person probably Stetson Bennett. Stetson knows these guys too, and he loves them. So,
I guarantee Stetson probably talked to Gunnar since that game too, and just offer him his own words of encouragement.
Yeah, I'm sure we should probably reach out to Miss Bennett and see if he did. I'm sure. I'm with you 100%. I guarantee it happened. So, that would be a big one if he could do that. And I don't know. I like Georgia's chances with Gunnar Stockton. I'm nervous about the inexperience just because it's to the defensive coordinator's advantage to throw some stuff at him that he may not have seen. But I'm just telling you, this isn't just any run-of-the-mill newbie. He's grown up in a football family. He's a smart kid, very smart when it comes to what they're trying to do on the field. Not a great interview, Dash.
He's okay, but we haven't really had to.
It's all cliches. So
it is, but it's a fair thing too. Haven't had a chance to talk with him since high school, and I did come up to him after the game last year. He was in the locker room with all the other players, and he kind of laughed. Said, "Well, coach said I couldn't say anything to anybody."
That's right.
So I'm like, "Well, come on, man. How long got that? How long?"
They wouldn't let you.
I said, "Dude, I've loaned your dad all his life, right?" So he's like, "Oh yeah, I know." Kirby said I couldn't say anything.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dasher. I can't talk.
That was pretty much it. And I was just laughing. But I knowing his dad, knowing that family, and knowing Gunner. I mean, again, hard nosed he is. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, I just really, really, really do. I mean, I know you can still throw the inexperience out there, and all that is true. But just knowing the kid, knowing his background, I think he'll be okay. Excuse my screen shaking. My basset hound just jumped over the top of my ottoman here and about knocked my laptop off my.
Good boy. Good boy, Jimmy.
Damn dog.
I don't understand the clickbait title.
What clickbait title?
Georgia's future without Carson Beck. Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. That's what's going to happen in the game coming up without Carson. I mean, that's not clickbait. That's a storyline.
Yeah. Double D69. Good point here. Talking about next year when you get those guys coming back, you get Ethan Barber and Elias Williams, ridiculous tight ends. Elias Williams, again, I would let Elias Williams just be a wide receiver.
Yeah, that's what I think.
The one play no one's talking about in that whole game. Do you remember I guess it was the Ohio State game. Remember when they threw the ball to Brock Bowers? He's about to go out of bounds. He puts his hand down and basically pulls himself across the first down marker to get a first down. Huge. The toe touch.
Yeah.
Also lucky.
I mean, he's really become a really good receiver. I mean, people aren't talking about that enough either. I know when the play first happened, I was sitting right by Brent Rollins, and I know where he kept his foot in bounds. I'm like, I didn't watching it really live.
It did not look at it.
It looked like it at first, and we watched the replay, and we're like, holy, you know what? He did.
So we're in the stadium too. We're like, oh, he's way out, and all the coaches are pointing, and I'm like, no, don't, they
always point. You'd be a foot out and coach to point. He's down, but this case he was.
But again, that was a hell of a play there. So, if Carson Beck is done, because again, I don't expect to see him come back next year. I think he
based on what Georgia said, no, he's not coming back. Yeah, I mean that's just
does Georgia go to the portal to get their starting quarterback, or is this Gunnar Stockton's team? We're going to put you on the spot.
This is just my opinion, but I think Georgia will reach to the portal to find a quarterback. Now, will it be the starting quarterback or a quarterback with still 2 or 3 years of, eligibility? That's what we'll have to see. But Kirby Smart himself said when asked directly what position you're looking to fill through the portal, he said all of them. So, okay, all of them includes quarterback. So it will not surprise me to see Georgia bring in a quarterback.
I can tell you one quarterback that is looking at Georgia.
Yeah.
Oklahoma star Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
Now, he's also – who needs him more is Auburn.
Yeah.
And Auburn is going to back up a Brinks truck to that kid and try to get him. And that would be fair. But I know he likes Georgia and would come to Georgia for less money than what Auburn would have to pay him. But kid with experience.
My dog's about to make an appearance here. So, I'm sorry the screen is shaking me. You bite me on the foot right now. I'm gnawing on my hand.
Good boy, Jerry. Go for the throat. But that'll be very interesting next spring.
Yeah.
You could see the Gunnar Stockton, Jaden Rashada, Ryan Puglisi, Ryan Montgomery and maybe one quarterback transfer quarterback battle for the starting spot. So, a lot of times we kind of take G-Day for granted. Not this year, brother. Not this year. It's going to be I guess the other question, though, is will Trevor Etienne come back for another year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he when he came to Georgia, it was with a thought it would be kind of a one and done. Yeah. With the injury. I don't know, but I think a lot's going to depend on how he does in the playoffs. Moving forward, if he has some big games, then he can still think he's done enough to leave.
I mean, if he has another game like he did against Texas, I'm his agent.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you are not going back, son. That's it.
I have to tie my dog up, man.
Apparently, the Athletic is reporting that it's just a bruise. Well, that would be a tough one. But again, a treatment for just a bruise. Here's the thing about UCL, that does not get a lot of blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
So it could take, even if it's just bruised, he could be out for some time. So that's not a good situation there. All right, anyway, we're going to wrap up with this. We appreciate everybody who dropped their comments into the comments section. We will try to do more of these as it progresses. Keep your eye on UGAsports.com. There's already 3 players in the transfer portal. One, David Daniel, I have him listed as being in there, but he was dismissed from the team. But he's in the portal under Georgia because that was his last team. You saw that Nitro Tuggle is in the portal and Julian Humphreys. Don't think they'll be the last, but Georgia is also very active in the portal looking at guys who want to come to be a Bulldog. Yep. So if you want to keep up with all the latest news and who's leaving, who's coming, check out the transfer tracker on the front page of UGAsports.com. It's at the top of the message board. We've had it updated since the first, and we keep putting in names of guys that are leaving and guys that might be interested in coming to Georgia. We had a pretty good wide receiver by the name of Singleton at Georgia Tech, who had a hell of a year. He's going to be visiting the University of Georgia. I don't know that Georgia wants to put that much money into him, but he's going to command a very high premium. The point is there are a lot of names and positions and things being bandied about, and the best way to keep up with it is at UGAsports.com. All right, we will talk to you folks later. Y'all take care.